right, hello. My name is Jessica Merker, and before I begin, I'd actually like to ask everyone for a really big favor because you've been so supportive. I just want to have everyone take a deep breath with me. And honestly, this is mostly just to help me calm my nerves. If you could just take a quick glance away from your screen and then back again, I will begin. So, my name is Jessica Merker. I'm a 3L at Stetson, and during my time there, I've had the good fortune of being involved with the Moot Court Board, the Dispute Resolution Board, and the Stetson Journal of Advocacy and the Law. I've also served as a Stetson ambassador, and I've worked as a teaching assistant to Professor Lake and Professor Bowman. And these experiences have certainly been transformational for me. But as a capstone to my law school experience, and this final year of my legal studies, being a Journey to Esquire scholar has been the ultimate honor. And to that end, I'd like to share with you a poem that I wrote. Because I'm a big fan of things coming full circle, I actually began my Journey to Esquire application with a poem. And this poem that I'm going to share with you today is a pantome. And pantomes are a poetic form that's based in repetition. They're composed of 4-line stanzas, and the second and the fourth lines of those stanzas actually repeat below as the first and third lines of the next stanza. So this particular poem borrows something from the life cycle of an orchid. And normally I wouldn't explain either anything about the form of the poem or even the basis of a poem because I appreciate poems standing on their own. But because I did not know anything about orchids before I was actually gifted one at the beginning of this program, I thought it might be helpful for anyone new to orchids like me to be reminded that orchids have flowers that bloom from a single stem in cycles of 1 to 2 times a year. And so they spend actually a lot of their time laying dormant, waiting for their regrowth. And in those dormant times, they still need water and light, and a sign of their life can actually be measured by the greenness of their leaves. And to me, there's tons of metaphors here, but the thing that I found most striking about caring for an orchid is that once they do bloom and the flowers die, the old stem that once carried those phenomenal flowers actually needs to be cut back to make way for new growth. And so with that introduction, this is my poem, and it's called Living as an Orchid, a pantome poem. I was paused, harbored here in green leaves, cut stem but saved, waiting out the years between blooms. In green leaves, cut stem but saved, the seasons of law between blooms taught me what it means to be queer. The seasons of law, now demanding more than silence, taught me what it means to be queer and gifted me this, Journey to Esquire. Now, demanding more than silence, I have become unmoored and gifted this, Journey to Esquire, I am ready to bloom. So being here, part of the Journey to Esquire program truly means the world to me. I came to law school after teaching high school English and creative writing, and I realized how all of my frustrations in my classroom had ties back to laws and policies in some way or another. And some of those frustrations were personal. And as a queer woman, my diversity is not something you can see. So in my professional capacity as a teacher, I early on made the unfortunate and ultimately unhealthy choice to keep my sexual orientation hidden for way too long out of fear. I was fearful of rejection from students, from parents, and from fellow teachers. But more importantly, I had a fear of losing my job because the district where I taught had both a history of discrimination and no legal protections for queer folks like me. So when I finally made the decision to come out in my role as a teacher, that was the first step towards embracing myself unconditionally, and it ultimately propelled me toward law school. And while I really do think still that education is the heart of social change, I've come to learn that law is its soul. And as I look forward to graduation and entering the legal field as my authentic self, I really have to just express my endless thanks for Professor Hardrick for establishing this program, for everyone who sits on its board, and for each panelist who has shared Saturdays with us this past year. also for my colleagues who I was fortunate enough to participate in this program alongside. I want to thank each of you for accepting me as I am and for making me feel safe and supported in this space. The most significant aspect of the Journey to Esquire program is that it's not only a scholarship, which as a second career law student with limited resources is obviously an incredibly big deal to me, but Journey to Esquire is a program. It has resources, both academic and in the form of personal guidance, as we've heard today, from wellness to networking and bar prep, that supports and supplements our law school educations. And I also want to specifically thank my Journey to Esquire mentor, Sarah Lehu Amin, for her constant support, from taking me out to lunch to listening to me vent and helping me problem solve, and also for introducing me to practitioners in her network. As a direct result of this program and Sarah's guidance, I will be working as a staff attorney at the 2nd District Court of Appeal after graduating. Coming from a place where I never thought I'd be a law student to being at this juncture is incredible. And this program has quite literally shifted the entire course of my life, certainly in ways that are measurable, and others, and perhaps more importantly, in ways that are not. So thank you, Professor Hardrick, Sarah, and the Journey to Esquire team for allowing me to live this year as an orchid. I'm forever grateful.